enjoy this epic interview with Kevin at Raw Foodie Style.
Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're at. I'm coming live and direct with Kevin Black for the love of raw living and raw tacos, diving into his story and his new book, The Love of Raw Tacos. It's going to be amazing. Super excited to really connect and meet him. We haven't really talked like this one-on-one before, so I'm really excited for it. If you don't know, we're talking about the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. It's available now only until the 12th, 11:59 p.m. PST. It's a ridiculous deal that only happens once per year. And just so you know, it's 100% brand new, never before released ebooks. There's never a repeat, so it's absolutely new every single time we do it. Just once per year, over $840 worth of stuff for just $50. It's a steal of a deal. And Kevin's book's in here, and it is mind-blowing amazing. So I'm excited to get into it with him. I got my big banana book in there. It's a lot of fun, lots of banana recipes and stuff like that, but I can talk about that later. We're going to get into this.
Hey, what's going on, Kevin?
Hey.
How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Really stoked to connect with you here live, and so stoked that you're part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. Just thank you so much.
Yeah, just so grateful to be a part of it, and just grateful to be connecting like this. I think we, texted back and forth a few times, but never did anything like this. So yeah, this is, really cool.
Heck yeah, man. It's going to be lots of fun. And, I've been going through your book, and I just got to say it is completely mind-blowing. I actually, honestly, I'm being totally 1,000% honest, I don't know if I've seen anyone recreate recipes that look so freaking authentic to the original, like from the toppings and the fillings and the dough and the tortillas and stuff. And I'll be straight up honest, I'm kind of a lazy person in the kitchen, even though I'm a chef. I don't make recipes a whole lot. And I'm so busy right now, I'm not making as much as I wish that I was. I wish I would have made more before the bundle, but I'm really looking forward to making some of your tortillas. I know I told you that before. I really want to make a couple different ones of them and a bunch of the different fillings, but I just wanted to put that out there. It's ridiculous what you're doing, and I'm so excited that it's a part of the bundle and that other people are going to get to enjoy what you're creating and the passion you're pouring forth.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. I've been so passionate about this since day one.
Yeah. You can tell. You can tell.
And when I first got into raw, I couldn't really find a good tortilla recipe. They always ended up turning out like
crackers
or fruit leathers. You're there trying to, take a bite and pull at the same time. And, it just didn't appeal to me. And I'm like, there's gotta be a way, something's gotta happen. And it actually wasn't until I actually started making these tortillas right after I put out my last book.
Yeah.
And
what's that one called? What's your first book called, so people know? Or your last book?
The last book was Pizza Party.
Yes.
That was a pizza book.
Nice.
And the one before that was Doing It Raw. And I put, actually, For the Love of Tacos is the third book I put out. And I put them all out in 1 year.
Nice.
And I just put that out there to show people that anything's possible. If you set your mind to what you want to do, things can just start rolling, and, you just start moving in that direction, and, things just happen. And this taco book, it was like everything just came together and flowed. And, I knew I had a deadline to get it to you.
Yeah.
And, I was at the beginning of this year, and I had just put out my last book in December, and I'm like, okay, that one took me 4 months to put together. How am I going to put this next book together and have it to you by the deadline? It was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it just all came together, and it was just amazing.
That's perfect. I mean, when things are in the flow and you're filled with passion and you're enjoying it, and I mean, I'm sure there might have been some times that were not as enjoyable as when you don't have a fire under you. I wish I had a lighter, because that's what we're trying to do here with the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, is put fire under creators to make stuff, and to spread this message out there and to come together as a community and spread all of our passions and different palettes and different favorite recipes and all that kind of stuff together. But I'm so glad that you did and that you're a part of it. And like I said, man, your book is completely ridiculous. I think a lot of people are going to absolutely love it. Just seeing you take those and like bend them and like how like floofy and like
Yeah.
kind of bready they look, man. It's pretty awesome. I know I asked you personally, but what is your favorite tortilla that's in there?
The favorite tortilla of mine have to be the smoky apple.
Yeah, smoky apple. And
Because
you know,
if you go through the book, you see that that one is combined with probably more of the recipes in the book than any other one.
yeah,
Um, and that one just came to me one morning. I woke up, and I have this one recipe in my other book where you know, it's a smoky apple pizza, and I had just ate that the night before,
yeah.
and I'm like, I woke up and I had this epiphany. I'm like, why don't we make some smoky apple tortillas? And I got up and it just all came together, and they were just tremendous.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try those out. What is your favorite filling? Because I've seen a lot of different ones, you know, and kind of like fajita kind of ones, and more like donairish kind of ones. What is your favorite filling to put in there?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really like the chorizo because that one's kind of simple.
Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't say the filling's kind of. I mean, once you make the filling, you don't need a lot of toppings for that because the filling is so flavorful.
yeah.
Just some sweet onions and cilantro, just like a basic regular Mexican taco would be, and that is all you need for that.
I love cilantro. You know, I there's few foods that when people say they don't like it that I'm like, oh man, I feel bad for you. Cilantro is one of them. Bananas is one of them, you know, just because it's so easy and economical. Tomatoes is one of them. Durian is definitely one of them. But you know, cilantro, people hate it when they don't like it. It's a genetic thing, I guess. But it's man, I love cilantro and I love chorizo, like the flavors and the nostalgia and the smells and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be one that I'll have to try. Some chorizo with the smoky apple
Yeah,
tortilla.
yeah, yeah. I would start with that one. But I mean, they're all really good. I mean, I think they are.
Yeah,
And I just hope people enjoy them as much as I do. And yeah, I mean, that's my goal, is to just make this stuff look and taste as authentic, to show people that it is possible
yeah,
to eat everything you ate before, but just using different ingredients, just
absolutely.
whole plant-based food that's not been heated above 115 degrees. And like I said, I've been passionate about that since day one. That's sort of what, that it sort of drew me in, because I have to be honest with you. And, this is nothing against people that put out videos of just eating fruit and stuff. But
Yeah,
had I have seen that 9 years ago, I probably wouldn't be eating raw. But I seen Marcus Rothkrantz making
yeah,
pizzas and
yeah.
cheeses, and I was just like, how is he doing this? And I just bought the ingredients and I tried it and I started feeling so much better. And I'm like, well, there ain't no going back now, because I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And it was a way for me to channel my creativity. And I was like, man, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put out some of the best stuff out there. And, it's just always been, a passion and my goal. And so I got some stuff I'm working on now, and, I can, I can't even imagine where this is going to go, but, it's just really cool.
That's awesome, man. And well, you're doing it, you're living it, you're spreading it, absolutely. And I hope and pray that you're part of the bundle next year. But we're concentrating right here, you know, with what you're
Right.
doing and what you're sharing. And yeah, like I said, I mean, I could say it again and again, but yeah, it blows me away. I'm excited to try them out myself, and I can definitely 100% say that we're kindred spirits in that desire to share and make this a lot easier. You know, like, you know, my intro to raw food, and I don't want to go into myself too much at all. You know, my intro to raw food was the simpler path, and I was so drawn to that. But after 5 years of just basically eating fruit and greens, I was like, man, there needs to be kind of that bridge gap, you know, like that stuff that kind of mimics old favorites. And that's when I started getting into it after 5 years of really just fruits and greens, and not really even, I didn't have a dehydrator for the first 10 years raw, right? But I 1000% agree to you, because I came to that conclusion that like most people don't want to just eat bananas and celery. And even though I made a banana book that's about bananas and celery, but a lot of other stuff, there's banana curries, which I'm going to do food demo tomorrow, and some other stuff, wraps, blah, blah, blah. there is that absolute need, you know, and there is that that awesomeness within raw food that there's so much variety that can connect with everyone on any diet and recreate favorites that make them feel 1,000% better, better for the environment, better for the animals, better for self, you know. So it's just awesome to be rocking that with you.
Yeah.
And you know, I also was reading a little bit of your book, and I can also identify we have, you know, kindred spirits also in a history of some abuse and, you know, alcohol and stuff like that. I had some really hard times with that, seemingly maybe not as long as you, but my own, you know, my own path that was really challenging, and raw food was a huge part in letting that go and coming into more vibrancy and just feeling better and wanting to love myself through thought, word, and action, bringing the food in, right? So it's just awesome to connect on that as well. But what I'd like to do, and I apologize to just go, but what I'd really like to do is introduce, because this is the first time we've ever really talked like this, and you know, if you're all right with this, I'd love to put this up on my website as well. Uh, I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you got into this, you know, what you came from, a little bit of what transformed from you for you with that, and then kind of more excitement about what you're creating in the future.
Yeah. So I'd have to go probably a little backstory back to, well, like you mentioned, in the book, I do have just a page of a short testimony.
Yeah.
And I struggled with alcohol for 22 years of my life. And in 2008, my wife and I split. I was left with a mortgage that I couldn't really pay on my own. So I was facing bankruptcy, foreclosure. And in the beginning of '09, I just had this amazing spiritual awakening. Um, and I don't know how to explain it, but it was like I met God, the creator, the universe, whatever, you know, you want to refer to that as, the higher power.
Yeah.
And it was just like I was immersed in unconditional love, and it was like my life just totally turned around. Not too many months after that, I was delivered from the alcohol addiction.
Mhm.
And it was then that I was like, okay, you know, I've been abusing my body for 22 years. It's time to start being a little more mindful as to what I'm putting in my system.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of skin issues. I had psoriasis, you know, like all through my hair, like elbows, knees, on the sides of my, both sides of my stomach, up my back, shoulders. I mean, it was terrible. And so one morning I was making something to eat, and I just happened to have the TV on, and this guy came on, and he was sort of talking about some of the issues I had. And so I tuned in, you know, I stopped what I was doing, tuned in to what he was talking about. You know, I didn't know where to go, you know, with this whole health thing. I had just come out of 22 years of just abusing alcohol.
Yeah.
So he was referring to some of the skin issues I had. So I started following his plan, which was sort of an antifungal diet,
Yeah.
which is very similar to like keto, Atkins, paleo, something like
No
that.
sugar, more fat.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It was a lot of protein, a lot of meat,
Yeah.
a lot of vegetables,
Yeah.
but of course they were cooked,
Yeah.
and just very limited. I think the fruits I could have were like green apples and grapefruits.
Yeah.
And
I had a very
so,
similar experience actually, and I don't need to go into it, but I kind of started with like having major candida and you know, fungal infection in my toes and my groin and all that stuff, and then I went on like at that point I was already almost raw, so I was and I was high raw vegetarian vegan, and I tried to eat just vegetables and Granny Smith apples and sunchokes with no fat, and I'll just tell you it was a disaster. But going back into your experience with the antifungal diet and kind of more
yeah,
keto. That must have been
yeah.
intense.
So I did lose some weight. I was never really a big guy to begin with, but I lost probably, you know, 3 waist sizes within like a month,
Mhm.
you know, because you eliminate the processed sugar and the bread. And, you know, I've told people after that, hey, if you're just looking to lose weight, hey, just get rid of the bread and the processed sugar. I guarantee you the pounds will just fall right off.
Yeah.
But it didn't clear my skin up. So after like 4 years of doing this off and on, I was just like, screw it. I'm just going back to eating whatever I want. And in 2014, my brother was diagnosed with liver failure, was hospitalized, and shortly after that, he passed away.
Man, I'm
You
sorry.
know, yeah. So he never overcame his struggle.
Yeah.
So it just led me back into researching again, and I came across Don Tolman, the cowboy.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I've seen some interviews with him. He's very
Yeah.
inspiring.
And then from that, he was doing an interview with Marcus Rothkranz, and then from there I just tuned into Marcus's videos, and
Raw Food
I
World?
just
Is it Raw Food World his or Raw Life? This his channel?
the healthy
The
life,
Healthy Life, yes. Yeah,
Marcus
yeah.
and Kara.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've known him for about 20 years, but
yeah,
not very well personally. But I first kind of contacted him and I met him once in person. Nice
yeah.
guy.
So yeah, I just started there, and from there the ball started rolling, and I just started researching and following other people on social media, that were raw, and yeah, and like I said, there was just no turning back. After feeling so good, I started out high fat, and I actually went low fat at the end of 2020. I was watching a live with you.
No
It was
way.
like it was a Thanksgiving 2020. It was a live you did on Instagram,
Yeah.
and something just rang true to me that you said,
Oh
and
man,
I
I'm
was
blown
like,
away right now.
yeah, and I was like, well, that's the whole thing, because there were still some issues I was still struggling with,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's it. I need to go low fat. So
Yeah.
so from 2020 Thanksgiving, or it was the day after Thanksgiving, I went low fat, and I've been low fat ever since, and
Oh,
it's since cleared up so many other issues.
that's so
Um,
beautiful, man. I'm very moved that impacted you and made a switch because that's one thing that's beautiful about your book. And I apologize to interrupt too. Just that, like I said, it mimics so many nostalgic things in a very authentic way, but it's also low fat. And I've had people comment too that like your book has ingredients that are like simple and easy to find and not too complicated and very clean and like it's just I think that's amazing and that's what the world needs more of as well. And I've had the same experience with low fat and seeing other people just transform and feel so much better when they move from a bit higher fat to lower fat that it just makes a world of difference. So that's I feel so blessed that that connected and it's created a shift and you've experienced even more benefits with it.
yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, I mean, it was a great shift for me.
Yeah,
And what a lot of people don't see is I do eat a lot of fruit,
yeah,
especially mangoes this time of year. I'm just a mango fanatic. I could
yeah,
just eat mangoes all day, and then maybe a salad later or something.
yeah, yeah.
But what people don't see is I do have a whole counter full of like bananas and mangoes and apples right now. But you don't see that on my page, just because I just tend to showcase,
Yeah,
like
the more
the fun
fancy
gourmet.
fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So someone's asking what does he have in the bundle? It's the love of raw tacos. I'm not saying the right name, but or
for the
no.
love of tacos.
There we
Yeah.
go. I knew I mixed it up dyslexically like, but yeah, yeah. So carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I eat a lot of fruit. I do a lot of smoothies. Sometimes in the morning I might juice. I mean, it's not a ritual for me,
Yeah.
but I do like some celery juice or some green juice every now and then.
Yeah.
Um, at night I'll have a big salad, and that's usually when I'll eat the
Yeah.
gourmet, is later at night.
Like 1
So
a.m. Like 1 a.m. later at night.
no, no. I haven't ate that late since my drinking days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would drink all night and then eat a can of beefaroni or something before I went to bed,
I,
you know.
I remember one near blackout night where I went to a pizza place, like, after the bars closed, and I chugged a bottle of hot sauce, like the whole bottle of hot sauce while eating pizza, and then I puked it everywhere. So yeah, I remember those days as well. But I mean, to me, man, it just sounds like you have a really balanced raw food lifestyle, that you enjoy whole fresh fruits and vegetables, but you also enjoy some juices and you enjoy some more gourmet stuff and you find your balance that feels great and works great for you. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and tacos have always been my favorite food group. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and, but yeah, I mean, true story, right. The year that I went raw, well, the year before I went raw, I was frequenting my local taco shop probably 5 times a week,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I went raw, and them guys probably wondered what happened to me. But I was getting ready to move out of state, and like 7 months after I went raw, I went back to just see those guys before I moved out of state, and here they went out of business. So
You were
it,
keeping them afloat.
yeah, basically that's what I was getting to. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Were they like, what the heck? Where did you go?
Yeah. I don't know. I never seen them again. You know,
Oh,
like I said, I was just going to stop in to, you know, to let them know I was leaving state, because they were a good group of guys, and
yeah.
they had this one chipotle sauce that I'm still trying to, you know, I can still remember what it tastes like. I haven't truly gotten it down yet, but it was so good. I could have just bought bottles of that and jars of that. I mean, I asked them plenty of times. It's like, will you just sell me jars of this sauce? I mean, it was that good.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to get them to tell me how they made it, but they never would.
No.
So,
I'm excited for you to figure that out, because I'm absolutely sure you will, and I can totally relate with that too. I mean, I used to love, I mean, I probably shouldn't, the rooster sauce instead of the other way, that I used to love that, and I used to, like sriracha, the original, and spicy garlic chili sauce and stuff like that, and just nostalgic old favorites. It's so nice to bring those back and to have the memory and acuity to be able to recreate, and sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it's divine inspiration, like your taco book itself. It sounds like
yeah,
it's just when the right moment comes, it's probably going to come through and be perfect.
right. Yeah. So,
Man, that's so awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. I just saw a post recently kind of talking about that in a different way, saying like, when you choose to buy from a farmer, sometimes that becomes, you're supporting that farmer, right? And it's like, we get to do that with the fruits and vegetables and support the fruit and vegetable farmers. And, we pay with our dollar, and it is kind of sad to see some businesses go, but at the same time, when we vote with our dollar, we're going to be creating more of what we want to see in this world, right?
right.
So all of us out here doing this, eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, and, trying to get quality and talking to the growers and all that kind of stuff, it brings more of it into being. And, I can definitely say in the last 20 years plus, I've seen more fruit, better quality availability around the world, that the places I've traveled in general, just getting more and more abundant, so I think it's a beautiful thing. And, all of us coming together, that's only going to make this message and that availability grow.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And so also, so what state were you in when that was starting, and where are you at now?
When I went raw,
Yeah, where the taco place was, and
oh,
then you said you moved states, so
yeah. Pennsylvania is where I was born and raised.
okay,
And I was moving to Oklahoma. I moved out there for 2 years, but then I moved back, and I'm in Pennsylvania right now.
okay. Where in Oklahoma did you live?
Just right outside of Tulsa.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Man,
So
Oklahoma,
and
wow.
yeah, and I was surprised. That was the year I went raw, and I moved out there not even knowing that they had a raw vegan restaurant out there, and so that was pretty cool
No way.
in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow. How far is Tulsa from OKC?
uh, uh, Oklahoma City. If I remember correctly, I think I drove there. I think that's on the other side of the state. I think that was maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, now this is kind of random, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds with this, but in my former life, when I was drinking and smoking and partying and all that stuff, I went on a skateboard road trip with some friends, and I went to Oklahoma City because one of my really good friends, Terry Matthews, is from there. And at that time, and then that was like 2001, maybe somewhere around there. I was moving towards healthier and healthier foods, but I was still indulging in party lifestyle at times, right? And when we went to Oklahoma City, it was crazy because it was like it seemed to me like they're trying to make people drink and smoke because like alcohol was insanely cheap. Like I remember there it was like 6 packs for like $2, and cigarettes were really cheap. We went to a bar once, and it was $5 entry
and then they gave you a pack of cigarettes, and then it was quarter bottles of beer all night. And it was like, and that was the regular for the three different places we went out there. I was out there for a week, so we went out two or three times. But was it like that in I mean, you're already changing your lifestyle, but did it seem like that to you in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, or was that just my experience in early 2000?
Um, I guess I really wasn't paying
Yeah,
attention to a lot of that out there.
makes sense. Makes sense.
I was just at the beginning of, I was maybe, let's see, I went raw in March of 2015. I moved out there in October, so that would have been like 7, 8 months or something. But I was
Yeah,
just really, really into, just so focused on raw,
yeah,
um, and just being so far away from the old lifestyle.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I can
But
understand that. That stuff almost becomes like, yeah, like blinders to it, or it's just it loses its color and its appeal, so you don't really
right.
see it as much.
I did buy my dehydrator while I was out there, so I didn't even get a dehydrator till like 2016. So it was probably a year after I went raw. So I was, just making a lot of dressings and marinara sauces and all the simple stuff that I could do without the dehydrator at first.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah. So,
that's super
but
cool, man. And so going back to when you first started the shift, what were some of the biggest things that you noticed at first when you just got into raw food and really made that switch?
well, I would have to say it was sort of like a second spiritual awakening
Yeah,
for me. Nothing can take away from my initial one in '09, but it seemed like, I had this new birth again in 2015 when I started eating these foods, I guess, you're eating this stuff from nature, and it's not heated, it's not dead. So I mean, how much closer can you get to God
yeah.
through food?
How much barrier can you release, right? How much like I think
Right,
it's like it's connecting through eating right from source, all the pranas, and at the same
right,
time helping clear your vessel so you have that more connection.
right. And it has made me more sensitive to just any kind of energy,
Yeah,
like when I can be around somebody that's negative, and I so pick up on that. And if I don't watch
yeah,
myself, I can find myself taking on those characteristics and traits. And,
yeah,
and, like I can't even carry a cell phone on me because, like, if I have it in my back pocket, my leg will start to go numb. It's just like this has opened me up and made me so much sensitive to everything else. And it's just like sometimes I just got to stop and be like, okay, you know, where's this coming from? Or sometimes you're like, okay, what did I do? Or you'll start feeling, really down, and it's like you just got to stop and remember, okay, this is something that I must have picked up somewhere because it's not me.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So, what would you say are some of the key things that you have developed and or kind of went into to help release that kind of energy and to come back into balance when you feel like you have taken on someone else's energy or just in a kind of a tougher spot?
um, just basically, like some meditation, find a place to just sit and just clear the energy. Just, I'm working on now just, a lot of thoughts and a lot of the self-talk and the emotional stuff,
Yeah.
which, the food doesn't necessarily, some people out there might claim that raw food is the total answer. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah. I
I don't
agree.
make claims to that. I think what we eat is definitely
Yeah.
important. It's a part of it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have to get alone and just, you know, just come back to that. Okay, everything's okay. This is just something that, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm working through a lot of that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, yeah, I think all of us are. We're in a heavy time. I don't know anyone who isn't going through harder times right now than they have in the previous, decades of life. It seems like something's in the air,
Yeah,
whether we're, when you're talking about picking up energies from people, well, I think the collective energy and also things that are just put out there has an impact on us, and whether that's, the world tensions or whether that's agendas or whether that's any number of things, coming down from the sky, X, Y, Z, right? But it sounds like you're talking about really connecting back to self and to source and
Right.
that divine spirit within, that helps you come back to center.
Right. Or a memory might come up that might trigger some guilt or some shame, and it's just something that you have to requalify.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you know you just have to come back to the present and realize, okay, that was in the past.
Yeah.
Everything's good here now, and I'm totally forgiven of that, and it's just like, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be your present anymore. It's something that you can accept and move through and let go of.
right. Yep.
Yeah,
So sure.
I often say that the raw food lifestyle is a vortex of positive change, and I 1,000% agree that it's not just raw food diet. It's a holistic lifestyle, and it's about what we think, say, do, and the friends we carry, and all those things have a huge impact. But I do find that raw food is a powerful means to connect with those things that cause discord in our life, right? Like, and that's what I mean by the vortex of positive change, because it's like without those numbing foods and without those layers that we build up around ourselves, we become much more sensitive. And it's like, we either do the work and we pay attention and we listen and we go within, or we just go back into old habits, and I think everything has its time and place, as we've all experienced things for reasons that bring contrast and bring truth closer to us. Uh, but you're so right, man. It's not just raw food diet. It's just raw food diet is very powerful, but without the other inner work and looking at it as a holistic lifestyle, you're not going to be as healthy and vibrant and shining and connected as you possibly can be just by eating bananas and raw tacos all day.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned too that after some years, eating a little bit higher fat and still raw food, you made that shift to the lower fat. And I do, since maybe some new people are joining here, I want to mention that we're both a part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. This bundle only happens once per year. We got 33 brand new, never before released books. Both Kevin and I have our books in there, and it's worth over $840 for just $50, but only 12 days. There's also the group collaboration low fat raw desserts book that's in there that is only in this bundle, will not be sold separate. And the bundle's available in Kevin's link in bio. You can go check that out, give him some support, or mine if you like. But that's what's going on here right now. But and it's all low fat, oil free, so that kind of brings me to that. When you made that shift to lower fat, and you said you experienced some shifts, and you're still doing that now. What were some of those shifts physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that you experienced, if all those apply, in whichever order you like?
um well, I guess you know I would still have like some of the skin issues popping up here and there, and I didn't really understand about the omegas and the fats, and combining like fruit and fat. I mean, I was all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah,
So when I just sort of started, mainly concentrating on fruit or juices or smoothies in the morning, and when I say smoothies, I'm talking like with no like hemp seeds or no nuts, no nut milk,
yeah, yeah,
just like fruit, maybe some coconut water, maybe some, I don't know, something like a moringa powder, or maybe some powders here and there.
yeah, yeah,
But and then moved on to some salads, and then if I did do some fat, I would keep it for later at night, and not so much at night, but some, in the evening type hours,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And I don't know. I just felt so much better.
yeah,
Just not being all over the place and just eating whatever I wanted when I wanted. So it was more, mindfulness in that way of having more of a structure that fit for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Um, and I think I had eliminated oils prior to that. I wasn't doing a whole lot of oils. I think in the beginning I was doing some olive oil here and there in some of the recipes. Um, Yeah, and even coconut oil. Yeah, I had a really fatty cheesecake that I made in the early years, but
Ever,
um,
well, most people have had those. They're pretty dang tasty, but they're
yeah,
filling.
Yeah, a lot of cashews, a lot of coconut oil, and I didn't even have to freeze mine. I just put it in the refrigerator and it sat up in like 8 hours and it was good.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was more about, finding an alignment, finding something that truly worked for
yeah,
me. Like I said, being more mindful as to, instead of just being all over the place. And I found that, you know, that was just basically it was a reflection of what else was going on in my life too, because I was all over the place about other
yeah,
things. So it was like, once you get a little more structured and disciplined in one area, it seems like it just overtakes every area of your life.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you notice any differences? You've mentioned a couple spiritual awakenings. Did any of that kind of come in, or did you feel any difference in your connection to higher self or anything like that? Or did you already kind of feel like you're pretty connected and it didn't really make much of a difference with that?
I think it brought me back a little more because I think before going low fat, I was following a bunch of the detox people. So I sort of had these thoughts going through my head, like I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not doing this right, or I shouldn't be doing this, and I should be doing this, and I
Bringing up
should.
guilt or
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah, yeah,
and there for a while it just sucked all the joy out of why I even started doing this in the first
yeah,
place, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, like I said, it wasn't until seeing that live with you that it just rang true for me about the low fat, and that's, what I thought would work best for me, and I did that, and it did, and yeah, I'm just so grateful grateful that you did that video that day, and it was just, I'm sure you were saying the same thing, for so many years prior to that, but it just wasn't registering to me, or else
yeah.
I wasn't seeing it at the right, it was just like everything happens sort of in a divine timing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We can hear the same thing 1,000 times, but until we're in the right mind space or body space, it just may not be landing on fertile ground. It might be cast to the rocks, right? So it's beautiful and it's awesome too, man, to be connecting on this. And we never know, that same seed could sprout in another person, whether it's low fat or whether it's raw food or just adding more fruits and vegetables to their life could completely transform their life, right? And it's like
Yeah.
it's just so awesome to hear that video had that, and that we can pass that along through sharing your story and the shifts you've had. And I'll never get tired of saying the same thing. It's like, I mean, I've answered the protein question a million times. If I got $1 for every time I've talked about protein, I probably would be rich, right? But
Right.
simple truths and sharing things that can change people's lives, it's while there may be times if I'm in a weird mood that I'm not as excited about it, it's just so beautiful to be able to share that. It's a gift, and transforming people's lives, and not necessarily transforming people's lives, but giving the information that people can transform their own life. Because it's helped us. It's such a blessing. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
And
Absolutely.
and it's 2024. I mean, can we be done with the whole where do you get your protein thing? It's like, you know, do we turn around and ask other people, hey, where do you get your fiber?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I mean, protein's in everything. I mean, it
Yeah.
might be higher in other things, but nobody ever stops to think, where's the cow get its protein from? You
No,
know.
exactly. Exactly. And no one really considers that they don't know anyone, have never heard of anyone being protein deficient, unless they're in a third world and starving, or like maybe being fed insufficient diet by somebody taking care of them, maybe, but it's such a non-issue when we're talking about a diet of abundance, eating fruits and vegetables, which most closely mimic our nutrient needs of any food on the planet. It's so crazy. Like, I was asked this in my last live. It's like, some doctor was saying that vegetables are better than fruit. And it's like, all right, we'll try and just eat vegetables, no fat, no fruit, no cooked food, just raw vegetables, and get all your calorie needs for a week. See how you feel. It's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
you can do it easily with fruit, and I'm not throwing shade on vegetables. They're amazing. I eat a lot of vegetables, right? But like, fruit is Mother Nature's gift to us. It's like the seed-bearing plant that is designed to be spread, and it's just like it's designed to be perfect. Like, you just pick a piece of fruit that's perfect, like good quality, and you can make an entire meal of it and get the best digestion and just feel amazing, And so I'm like, obviously, I'm Banana Commander pro fruit, but at the same time, I love variety. I love all the gifts that we're given from nature, the vegetables and some seaweeds and nuts and seeds and all these beautiful things that can be really nourishing and entertaining, but at the same time, much more easy on our system and give us all these benefits that we're talking about.
Right. And I like listening more to my body, as what's my body telling me that I want to eat, or when do I want to eat. So I'm not sort of like, when I said about being structured and disciplined, it's not like I have like this whole routine and set of rules that I got to do this and I got to get so much of this and this and this and this. It's just like, what do I want to eat? Because sometimes, if we have so many lists and rules, it can just, like I said a little while ago, it can just suck the joy out of, just eating this way. And it just becomes, a demand, or, and, nobody wants any more rules and regulations put on them. And,
Not me.
like,
No, absolutely. It can be its own expansion, right? It can be its own, like it's a journey, right? And it doesn't have to
yeah,
be from A to Z, and there doesn't have to be an end point. It can always shift and change as you grow with different foods and see how they feel in your body and all that stuff. And it kind of brings up a fun point, because when you're talking about when you started to kind of lose that joy a little bit, and at that time you're eating whatever you wanted, right? I would think that probably now you're also eating whatever you wanted. You've just become a little bit more fine-tuned with what feels the best with you in your body. Would that be accurate?
right, right. Yeah, because a lot of the other stuff, when you get in tune with it, you realize you weren't feeling that good on it to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I heard you use the term nut coma before, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can really fall into a nut coma if you eat too many cashews or
Yeah. Fall
walnuts.
into a nut coma or a nut nap, one or the other.
And that was the other thing. Like when I first got into this, it was like everybody was making the walnut taco meat, and yeah, that was good for a while, but then it was just like so much heaviness. Now that I look back, at the time it wasn't, because it was like, oh, I really knew, but
Yeah. And
I'm
the
like,
contrast from what you're doing before, right? It's like kind of
right,
a progression.
right. So yeah, I found a way to, some of these and I say meats in quotes because I had somebody question me, the other month. I was, I think I was, you know, I had just got done drying some tortillas or something from the dehydrator. And I said, I'm waiting for the meat to get done now. And somebody made a comment about, I can't believe you would make raw vegan tacos and then put animal flesh in there. And I'm like, you obviously probably don't even follow me if you think that I'm putting, animal protein in my raw vegan tortillas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I either got to start calling it, taco filling, or just really stressing that, it's, raw vegan meat,
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, man, and I've had that come up multiple times, and even just recently, a week ago, someone essentially, like, I wouldn't say attacking, but definitely aggression, right? Kind of saying like, why do you call it that? Like, if you're a vegan, why would you call it that? And it's like, well, I want to bring in people who are nostalgic towards those foods, and if I just call it, like, what was the example? I think it was a burger. I can't remember for sure, but let's just say it was a burger. Like, if I said like raw food patty, like not as many people are going to identify. Maybe obviously some raw foodists, but people outside there, I don't want raw food patty, but it's like, raw food burger. Like, yeah, I want a burger, right? And it's like, I sometimes put in quotes, just like stuff like that, or sometimes make like what is it called, beet balls instead of meatballs. Like there's fun things, but kind of going back to like rules and kind of judgment and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know, to me it's like, do what you want to do, but at the same time I think everything is fair game, and if it works for you, and if it brings people in, like I do the exact same thing, and it's just to me it's one of those things. It's kind of funny, like which way, both ways, whatever, right?
Right. And And I have to commend you on the whole freezing of like the cauliflower and the broccoli. And,
Oh,
that was a game changer for me too,
it's awesome, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just started doing the broccoli, I think, last year, and I was just like, wow, this is just like cooked broccoli. I just pulled it out of the freezer, put it in the dehydrator for like 45 minutes, and it was sort of like I steamed it.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. For me, it's like I genuinely enjoy it more than cooked, because like I won't lie, I've had some bites of cooked food in the last 20 years, and some of that has been steamed vegetables, and I genuinely enjoy the frozen thawed much better, so it just makes it a no-brainer. I like want to eat that. I feel better, and you know, but it makes a huge difference, and I know Lissa's doing a lot of sprouted and frozen chickpeas, and that's really amazing too. Makes them nice and soft. I do the same with lentils and a whole bunch of other stuff, but I love curries. Like you were talking about tacos, and I've always loved tacos. I've always loved pizzas, but curries were my absolute favorite of all time. And I mean, people that watch my stories, they see that sometimes it's 5, 6 days out of the week I'm eating curry every night. It's just I freaking love it, But having frozen thawed cauliflower or broccoli or even Brussels sprouts or if you eat them, even onions and stuff like that, it's even what are some other ones? Cabbage, man, like sliced thin cabbage, frozen thawed is just so good.
Yeah.
The cabbage leaves, they make amazing wraps for making cabbage rolls and all that stuff. But there's just so much variety and so much ability to recreate and to make foods that just feel even better in our system, but look and taste the same as cooked foods. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, even the Adzuki bean
I'm
sprouts.
gonna have some
I,
tonight with broccoli.
yeah, I froze them and I made my rice and beans for the taco book with that, and it
Nice.
just turned out amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's fun too. The other thing that I really like about that as well, and I'm really happy to see more and more people doing it because I think it is a game changer and will be a game changer for a lot of people because it sometimes those foods are a little bit more economical. Sometimes they're a little bit more hearty and give you a little bit more of kind of a full feeling. They're more substantial. Um, but the other thing I really love about it too is like, like I go to a wholesaler and like I went to a wholesaler a week and a half ago, and that means I'm getting a lot of a few different items rather than a teeny bit of a whole bunch of different items, which for me is a lot cheaper. And I really resonate with that simplicity over the day, week, and month, and variety over the year. But I bought a case of broccoli because it was super, super cheap. It was like, what was it? I think 6 kilos of broccoli for like $10.
wow.
So then I just right when I got them home, I just put each head right into the freezer, and then I don't have to worry about spoilage because freezing next to freeze drying is the best method of preservation with the least nutrient loss over long term. So I mean, I've been eating it pretty much every night. Broccoli and iceberg lettuce is what I bought too, and different sprouts with it. Tonight will be adzuki beans and broccoli and iceberg lettuce curry. But it just makes it a heck of a lot easier and not worrying about food spoilage. And then on the other side, I mean, I still like to eat them crunchy and fresh and raw sometimes too. But if I have an abundance and stuff is starting to look like, oh, I'm not going to get to that, well, then quickly throw it in the freezer and it's a different texture and a different opportunity, a different day.
Yeah, for the longest time I thought, well, I'm never going to use my freezer, and now it's I go to put something in there now, and it's like I barely have any room.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, man.
Yeah, because even my tortillas, they freeze well.
Yeah,
Um, I got pizza crust in there.
yeah,
Even the meat components
yeah,
for my taco fillings, they freeze nice.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like if I only want to eat 2 or 3 tacos at a time, I can put the rest in the freezer, and I'm good to go.
And when you're taking the time to make some of this stuff, like you don't want to just make one or two, so it makes just more sense. Like I do the exact same thing with pizza crusts or with falafel balls or burgers and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. Like make a huge batch, and the same with sprouting too. Like sometimes like I don't want to just sprout like a little teeny bit for one day. It takes some time, so I sprout a whole bowl full, and then I can put them into different little baggies, like self-serve baggies, or just freeze them really flat in a big bag so I can crack them and put them in a curry really quick. But it makes things a heck of a lot easier. And I tell you, for a long time, I've been dreaming of getting a chest freezer because they're better energy wise because the cold air doesn't seep out every time you open the door. But I've always thought of having a chest freezer with a table top on it that is bigger than the lid of the freezer. That way, it takes up no room, and you could have chairs around it. And then when you want food, you just make sure you don't have stuff on the table, and then you can grab stuff. Because I mean, between the sprouted lentils and chickpeas and adzukis, and then also like bananas and different fruits and greens too. When I get deals on greens, I throw greens in the freezer because sometimes they're on sale when they're looking a little bit rusty. But you throw them in the freezer and then they're great in a smoothie or even in a curry or any kind of dish, and it just opens up so much more variety, texture, and ease in storing food. Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely had times where I've bought in like 10 heads of lettuce on sale and had them in the fridge and I don't quite get to them, or whatever it might be. It just makes it a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, there for a while I didn't have an issue with the produce. I was working in a natural foods grocery store for 6 years. I
Nice.
was produce manager slash buyer.
Yeah,
So, I was just bringing home the freshest of the fresh every day that I had coming in.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
I
So,
mean, that's kind of the ideal. When I first went raw, I didn't even have food at home because there was a local market right by there that had stuff that was overripe, but perfectly ripe on sale. Like organic bananas were 19 cents a pound. So I would just go by there every single meal or another grocery store if I wasn't in that area. And basically whatever was ripe and on sale, that was my meals. I've always been a bit of a trife guy, just getting deals and stuff like that, right?
yeah.
But that's a nice way of doing it too.
Yeah.
Do you
So,
still do
yeah,
that? Do you still get a lot of fresh stuff at a market? Do you work at a market anymore or no?
I do not.
Oh,
I actually,
freezers.
what's that?
Oh, someone was just saying, I have 3 freezers for this very reason.
No, currently I don't work there,
No.
but it seems like whenever I do need something, it's like I know my go-tos around here, and usually I can find whatever I need.
Yeah.
But I do still shop at the place that I used to work.
Yeah. 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 Man, that's cool. That's cool. So one other thing I wanted to ask you, and we're nearing an hour. I think we should round her up around an hour.
Okay.
But when you switched to lower fat again, and like we were kind of talking about energies, and we were talking about different foods and how they feel in the body and stuff like that. Did you find when you went to lower fat that you had even more intensity and feeling emotion and other people's energies and stuff like that?
I think so because yeah, I like I said, I'm dealing with a lot of those issues, presently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think yeah, with the heavier, higher fat foods, you can, once you're not doing them anymore, you find yourself knowing that you don't feel so dense anymore.
Yeah.
Is that the right term? I
Yeah.
guess dense goes
Makes
right
sense.
along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, for me, it was a lot of learning, that all this that's coming in or going through or to me and through me now isn't all me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I'm, by no means an expert on, the energy world or, everything invisible around us, but I mean, like the Wi-Fi and, sometimes, just all the stuff that's maybe coming from the towers or our cell phones or, I mean, Wi-Fi is like everywhere now,
Absolutely.
and it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, this day and age, I mean, it's probably a good idea to find your center and become aware of a lot of that stuff. So you're not, like shaming or guilting yourself for feeling sometimes the way you're feeling and just realizing that it may just be some energy you're picking up.
Absolutely. Yeah, multitude of factors. And I've known multiple people who, are more sensitive to the Wi-Fi and stuff like that, and other people don't seem to notice it and stuff. But through that, I've learned a lot of really cool techniques and ways to lessen that a little bit. I mean, one of the big ones, of course, is grounding on bare earth or on grass, just barefoot, and it helps with the ionic exchange and releasing the positive ions and taking on the negative ones, which kind of builds up when we're stressed and getting all these EMFs. So that's a really great one. And even, if really sensitive to it, I mean, of course, I'm guessing you probably use like an Ethernet cable rather than Wi-Fi if you're quite sensitive to it, but that's a great way to make it easier. And I know people too. I knew one guy in Cali who he got, what is it? Like curtains that have silver threading in them, and that blocks the EMF. So he put them around his entire house, and he had like a reader, and then when he was in his house there was like none, like zero, like if it wasn't zero it was really damn close, but you can even get those as, like, I've seen, like, you can get hats and stuff like that have silver threading in them, so you don't get as much on your head, and even underwear and stuff like that, and clothing and stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff that aware people are finding different ways to lessen the impact of those things. Because I was just I'm looking at my phone, it says 5G, and I remember not that long ago everyone was up in arms about 5G, and like, it'll never, like, it won't come, and we can't have it, it's going to kill us. But my phone has 5G, and everyone else's phone around us has it, so it's like we're all being bombarded. And that's one thing that I've even kind of said in a challenging way, actually not really out loud, but we got our work cut out for us, because even on the healthiest diet in the world, we're being bombarded by more and more, and it makes it harder to be thriving as high as we possibly can. But at the same time, it gives more credence and more, I won't say urgency, but importance to be treating ourselves as good as we possibly can, and to be doing all those other holistic things, like the mindset and the breath work and the grounding and the loving relationships and all those kinds of things. Because yeah, if we're not mindful of that, if we're just thinking, if I eat bananas and tacos all day then I'm going to be totally better,
No,
we may not experience the best we can.
no, no. And I use a grounding mat. I'm actually using it
Nice.
right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
you
So,
know it's something funny. Yeah, something kind of funny. At one point, it was a decade ago, maybe a little more than a decade ago, I was going through the patent office trying to patent, I had a patent pending, but patent a grounding yoga mat, because I always found it really funny, yoga to yoke, and I've been into yoga since before raw food, since 99, but yeah, some 97, 97, 98, 99. Anyways, yeah, 99. But anyways, I was like, it's kind of funny, like yoga to yoke, to connect, to self and to source and spirit, and like, and then we're sitting on a rubber kind of petroleum based mat, separating ourselves from the Earth's magnetic field, and I'm like,
right.
why don't we have grounding mats, and I mean, since then they tried to, long story, it didn't end up going through, because they tried to say it was too broad and that I was trying to patent human beings and stuff. And anyways, I think there are some grounded yoga mats, but I have had one of those grounding little mats, and you can get grounding sheets on your
Yeah.
bed. And
Yeah.
I know that can make a big difference for a lot of people, and really a big difference probably for everyone, but some people notice it even more than others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, so this has been ridiculously amazing. I feel like we could probably talk for probably hours more, but in the interest of keeping it around this time, and also I don't have Wi-Fi, and I want to get this up on my site later. And I know yesterday when I got one interview up, it took 6 hours to upload from my phone's hotspot. I'm going to keep it to an hour here, but I want to ask. We do have a question, so we'll look at that after. But I want to ask: is there anything that you'd like to impart upon everyone here, in terms of making shifts in your lifestyle, and just, kind of like a closing kind of word, if there's something you wanted to tell people? Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Yeah. You put me on the spot.
that's what I do sometimes.
Just, I don't know. If you're going to go raw, have fun with it. I mean, if it's just another chore or another to-do list, then maybe you just need to come at it through another perspective, or just add a little bit here and there and just notice how you're feeling. Or but like I said, it took somebody making and mimicking the foods that I used to eat to make me want to eat this way.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, I've sort of gone down that path, just to show people, hey, this is possible. Even people that want to go back to cooked food, I think these tacos that I have in this book are, you know, are better than, you know, some cooked tacos that I've had, you know, and I've heard you
Don't
say
doubt
that
it.
about your pizzas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, just have fun with it. I mean, don't make it such a restrictive. I mean, it's not restrictive to me, because I'm, after 9 years, I'm still finding new ways to simulate these meals. And it's just like, as soon as I think I'm done and I'm at the end and I've, you know, used everything up that I could use, then something else comes along and I'm like, wait a minute, I can put this and this and this together and get this, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's just I've always been sort of creative and artistic, and like I said, you know, earlier, this has been a way for me to channel that, and just have fun with it, just enjoy it. So
I love it. I couldn't agree more. And I think myself and all of us are blessed by you channeling that spirit and your creativity and sharing this to help other people. I think that's amazing. Like I said, I'm definitely blessed that you are part. And I think your book and all the other books in the bundle are going to connect with a lot of people and help them make big changes in their life, you know? So I just want to acknowledge and thank you for that as well. And I'll quickly see before we go up. There's one question here. If you address this, I joined the live. You're interviewed with Debbie. Oh, did you do an interview with Debbie?
I did on the first day,
Yeah.
and then she told me that she had trouble posting the live,
No way.
and I haven't heard back from her since, so I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
So if she does get it up, I will put it on my page. But yeah, I did chorizo tacos on the first day.
No
So
way. No way. Well, Thrive on Live, just so you know, too. I mean, it's in your book, right? And this is the time to check that out. And there's a lot more. I know you'll be blown away. You know, like 840 bucks worth of stuff down to $50. You know, that's ridiculously amazing. So I would encourage everyone to, again, go over to Raw Foodie Style, to your link in bio, and grab the book or mine if you like. And I think I have 3 freezers. Yeah, that's all the questions here. Well, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you, Kevin. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day here, and the rest of the bundle goes really well as well for you.
all right. Thank you, Chris, for asking me to be a part of this. You know, it's such an honor, and I am so blessed and grateful.
Absolutely. And are you all right with me putting this up on my YouTube channel and website too?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Love
And
it.
anytime you want to connect or do a live again, just reach out. You know, I'm getting used to these lives and videos. I haven't done a whole lot in the past. You know, I haven't had a whole lot of people reach out to me and want to do that. So if anybody wants to reach out and, you know, interview or live, you know,
Let's do it again sometime. Let's do a food party sometime, or you know, do something fun. You know, it's
Okay.
kind of funny because the bundle brings everyone together to do lives, and I can very genuinely say when I'm doing the lives, it's like the time of my life. I love it. I really love connecting. And then somehow after the bundle, my mind starts to think like, oh, that's like work, you know, but it's not. It's fun and it's connecting. And I
Well,
see a lot of other people say the same thing, like, let's connect. And then afterwards, it's like, I need to hibernate for a little bit, you know, but it'd be good to keep that alive.
we both have pizza books, so we can do a pizza party.
That would actually be really fun. And I want to say I would love to do that in 3D. I mean, it'd be fun to do actually, yeah, to make each other's pizzas, right? And have a pizza party. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's make a plan for that. Probably not this month, but let's maybe think about next month or something like that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good. All right,
All
brother.
right.
All right, man. Have an awesome night. And
Thank you, brother.
see you guys. Thanks
All right.
everyone for joining us. As always, much peace, love, and seasonal fruit.